The humble synth pad is a staple part of so many musical genres. These sustained, complex sounds are a great way to practice sound design and express yourself with evolving, moving scapes. But when it comes to fitting them in the mix within the musical context of a track, a little technical knowledge can go a long way. So let's dive straight in and look at 8 ways to create better pads. Number 1. Unsync the LFOs. It's easy to get used to LFO signals that are synced to your host tempo, like you can see here in Massive, because this approach usually makes the most rhythmic and musical sense. But a pad sound is often more about atmosphere and evolution, not about rhythm. By unhooking Massive's LFOs from the host tempo and making them free running, you'll get a sound that doesn't just repeat every bar, 2 bars, or 4 bars. Instead, it will evolve slowly, out of tempo with the rest of the music. When one musical bar repeats, the pad will be doing its own thing at a different stage every time. Number 2. Find the right pad to fit the track. By looking at a track's spectrum meter readout, you might find certain points that are lacking in energy. Here, the area between 150 and 300 Hz doesn't have much going on in it. So we're looking for a pad sound that fills those gaps. The spectrum analyzer tells us that these gaps can be filled using notes in octave 2. So we'll audition a few pad sounds using complete control to see what works with the track. Number 3. The reverb sandwich. Pads are all about sustained, complex sounds, and the obvious way to create this effect is with reverb. Take your raw sound and add a reverb to smear it into a smooth, consistent tone. Here we're using RC24 to give the input sound a lot more sustain. Next, load up another reverb or duplicate the first, placing it last in the effects chain. Now load up a cocktail of moving effects between those 2 reverbs. Modulating effects like flare, faces, and choral can do this especially well, and driver will add a touch of grit to the signal. The first reverb smooths out the original sound, ready for the effects to transform it. The second makes those effects more atmospheric. And with the reverb set up before you start tweaking, you can do your musical cooking in context. Number 4. Smooth out envelope times. You can make a pad move more seamlessly between notes by taking care with its amp envelope settings. Let's say that one MIDI note starts where another ends. The objective is to have one note die off at the exact same time another comes in to replace it, keeping the energy levels as consistent as possible. Here we've got a pad in reactor spark. We can crank the breakpoint and sustain stages to their maximum values, getting a consistent level throughout the sound. Next, match the attack and release times as closely as you can. Usually, these stages have a different shape, so the perfect blend is hard to find. Now, as one note starts fading out, the other one starts fading in to match it. Number 5, choose the right notes. With so many production tools out there, it's easy to forget how the notes themselves influence things. When it comes to pads, there are some rules of thumb for setting up chords. A common tactic is to use musical fifths, putting copies of each note 7 semitones above the originals. Depending on the track and the key you're in, not every fifth is guaranteed to hit the spot though. Another thing to consider is how far apart your notes are. Forming close chords like these can be a bit obvious, so for a more expansive, wide-ranging pad sound, try bringing the notes up by an octave or two to see how they sound. Number 6. Add real-life, organic textures. Because a pad creates a consistent sound, it's the perfect place to put a crispy, crunchy layer to add atmosphere to the whole track. Whether you're into vinyl crackle, ambient rain noise, or environmental sounds, this is the time to add it. To make things especially unique, just record something yourself, even with a phone mic, and blend it into the pad sound with the usual mixing techniques. Number 7. Setup with sidechaining. A pad can fill out a mix, but you probably don't want it to take things over. By adding a compressor over the pad channel and feeding the sidechain from the mix's most prominent instruments, you can bring the pad's level down when they play. Once we've routed these drums to the pad's compressor in our DAW, we can activate the sidechain in Solid Dynamics by clicking the SC gain light. With a fast attack and a fast release, this is more of a mixing trick to help the drums get through. But with a slower release, the pad starts pumping, and you can tune this pump using the threshold, ratio, and release dials. And here's what happens if we deactivate and reactivate the sidechain. Number 8. Remove effects from the bass. Pad sounds are all about movement, and there's one place where movement can be a bad thing: the bass. Below 1 or 200 Hz, modulation effects, stereo width, and reverb can make things a lot less solid in the low end, and cause problems with other elements of the track. Here we've put phasis and molecular over the bass track, which could easily make things less solid. It's best to isolate the chain of processors and have them only affect the higher frequencies. Add a high-pass filter as the first insert on the pad's channel. Then duplicate the entire channel. On the original, disable or remove the effects and swap the high pass for a low pass with the same cutoff. The old channel is your safe, unaffected bass region, and the new one has your special effects where they count the most. You can also do a similar thing using a bus or return channel.